देश के नंबर 1 न्यूज चैनल न्यूज 18 इंडिया पे आपका स्वागत है। न्यूज 18 इंडिया से इस वक्त एक खास मेहमान जुड़े हैं, इजराइल के भारत में राजदूत रूविन अजार। रूविन अजार इस वक्त हमारे साथ न्यूज रूम में। वेलकम टू न्यूज 18 इंडिया सर। न्यूज 18 इंडिया में आपका स्वागत है।
नमस्ते नीरज, थैंक यू फॉर दिस इंटरव्यू।
सर, वॉर से रिलेटेड सवाल आपसे पूछेंगे। बिफोर गोइंग टू वॉर रिलेटेड क्वेश्चन, माय फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन टू यू रिगार्डिंग प्रियंका गांधी। सर, भारतीय राजनीति का प्रमुख चेहरा है और कांग्रेस पार्टी की प्रमुख नेता है प्रियंका गांधी। वो संसद में पैलेस्तीन बैग के साथ देखी गई। इस पर आपका कमेंट क्या है? व्हाट इज योर कमेंट ऑन प्रियंका गांधी कैरिंग पैलेस्तीन बैग इनसाइड पार्लियामेंट?
Neeraj, we know that the Indian people support Israel because we have common values, we have common opportunities, we have common challenges, and we know how to answer them. We have one destiny. There's nothing wrong in supporting the Palestinian people as long as you distance yourself from the terrorists. Because what happened in Gaza in the last 18 years is that a savage terrorist organization took hostage the people of Gaza, and they launched a terrible attack of medieval nature against the people of Israel. So we can have a brighter future for Palestinians. We want the Palestinians to have a decent life, but they cannot have a decent life when they are controlled by this savage terrorist organization. So now we are negotiating actually a deal with our partners, with the United States, and with the Egyptians and others, to bring stability for Gaza for the long term, free from the threat of Hamas.
So do you think Priyanka Gandhi should also carry Israel bag if she is carrying Palestine bag? अगर वो पैलेस्तीन बैग लेकर चल रही हैं तो उनको इजराइल का बैग भी लेकर चलना चाहिए। आपने कहा कि दैट यू सेड जस्ट दैट पैलेस्तीन को सपोर्ट करने में कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, बट इजराइल कॉज को भी रखना चाहिए। इजराइल कॉज शुड बी पुट इन प्लेस ऑल्सो।
It's up to her. We know that the Indian people are with us, and we know that we have a common future together, and we have to work together to create a better environment, a better reality for all of us, because we are engaging in that with the Indian people. We've done a lot of things together. We have achieved a lot, and we want to achieve even more.
उत्तर प्रदेश के मुख्यमंत्री ने कल विधानसभा में आपके साथ बैठक का जिक्र किया। कैसे उत्तर प्रदेश के युवाओं को इजराइल फ़ायदा पहुंचा रहा है, कैसे भारतीय युवाओं को इजराइल फ़ायदा पहुंचा रहा है। यस्टरडे उत्तर प्रदेश चीफ मिनिस्टर रेफर्ड योर नेम एंड मीटिंग with you in past weeks that how Israel is helping UP's youth, including as well as Indian youth?
Well, we have cooperation on several fronts. First of all, this year we started a program to host Indian workers. We have about more than 500 from Uttar Pradesh. We want to go up to 50,000 Indian workers in Israel. Yes. And they are feeling very safe in Israel. Okay, that's number one. Number two, we've been working on agriculture for many years. We have several centers of excellence in which we are partnering with the Indian government, and these centers supply subsidized seedlings to farmers. We complement that with training and capacity building to get farmers to use modern technologies of irrigation. That is having a huge effect in Uttar Pradesh in terms of increase of crops. Thirdly, we are working together on technology. There are partnerships on defense technologies that we are having in Uttar Pradesh, and we have started also partnerships to bring startups from Lucknow and Noida together with Israeli startups to work on issues like AI and other IoT and high-tech fields.
So what kind of regional equation does Israel see in coming year 2025? वॉर के सवालों पे हम रुख कर गए हैं। युद्ध की अगर बात करें तो नए साल में किस तरह के रीजनल इक्वेशन को आप देखते हैं?
Well, we have already a great relationship in defense and in agriculture. We have to put more focus on water because there is a huge challenge in this country when it comes to water resources, contamination of water resources, and Israel is a leader in the world in terms of purification of water. So we clean 95% of our sewage, and we irrigate 70% of our crops with purified water. And we have started to work with different states in India on projects of purification of water. This is one thing that we want to advance on. Another thing new that we want to do is bigger partnerships in technology. We have a joint R&D fund, and now we have new funds that are being done by the private sector. We want to bring big players in high-tech to do joint ventures with Indian companies. In addition to that, we have identified the field of infrastructure as a field that has a huge potential for cooperation because India has very capable companies. You have built here more than 1,000 kilometers of metro, Israel needs Indian companies to come and work in Israel. So we have invited Indian companies to apply for tenders in Israel, big projects of many billions of dollars. So we are going to concentrate in 2025 in realizing all these plans on the bilateral level. But above the bilateral level, there is the regional level. We have a project of connectivity that was initiated by the G20. It's called IMEC. It's a corridor of connectivity between India and Europe that passes through the Middle East. India already has established the eastern part of this corridor by agreements it has done with the UAE, and now we want to connect other countries in the region, like Saudi Arabia, Jordan, and Israel, to finish this connectivity, to do transportation, to do communication, energy projects. So we hope that with the incoming Trump administration, together with the Indian government, the UAE, and other countries in the region, we will be able to restart and implement this very important project that serves the interests of all parties.
तो ट्रंप एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन के आने से अगले साल जब ट्रंप एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन आएगा तो आप लोग को बहुत ज़्यादा आशाएं और उम्मीदें हैं. You have great hope with the Trump administration?
Well, as you know, the Trump administration has done the Abraham Accords, and we want to expand the Abraham Accords. So now that we are facing the last stages of dealing with this attack that came from Iran and their proxies, and we have given a severe blow to this axis of Iran, the ground is set for advancing peace in the region.
न्यूज़ 18 इंडिया के दर्शकों को बता दें कि ईरान पर हमले के बाद इजराइल ने जब हमला किया तो ईरान ने अब तक जवाबी कार्रवाई नहीं की है. तो एक सवाल ईरान से जुड़ा भी है. टू व्हाट एक्सटेंट इजराइल विल गो टू इंश्योर दैट Iran does not make a nuclear bomb? Will Israel attack again Iran?
The Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, has been very clear on this point. Israel will never allow Iran to acquire nuclear weapons, and we will use all the means necessary to achieve that goal. Already, we have a situation in which Iran hasn't achieved that goal, despite decades of aspiring to it, because of actions we took in order to withhold them. We are not going to give in. We are going to continue this effort, and you know why? Because Iran has declared that it wants to destroy the state of Israel. They even have a clock in Tehran, putting there the life expectancy of the state of Israel. So when you have a regime that is radical, fanatic regime, theocratic regime, that is trying to acquire nuclear weapons, that is very dangerous, not only for Israel, but for the entire region and the world. And therefore, we are very determined not to allow Iran to acquire nuclear weapons.
So you will attack? Israel will attack?
If necessary.
To what extent?
If necessary, we will do all necessary actions in order to prevent Iran from acquiring a nuclear weapon.
अब आपसे सीरिया के बारे में बात करेंगे, जुलानी के बारे में. How much threat does Julani pose to Israel in Syria?
Well, that's something that we still have to figure out.
Okay.
There's no doubt that there are many radical groups in Syria. Syria, for many years, has been very dangerous towards Israel because it has been accumulating weapons of mass destruction, including chemical and biological weapons. They even tried to have a nuclear program. So Israel did the world a great favor, especially in the last week, because with hundreds of raids of our Air Force, we have destroyed all this arsenal of weapons that, if would have fallen in the hands of terrorist groups, could endanger any country in the world. So Israel was very systematic, first of all, in neutralizing this threat, and is willing to engage with the people of Syria. Our Prime Minister has said that we want to make peace with the Kurds, the Druze, the Muslims, and the Christians. We want to have peace with Syria. However, we have taken precaution, because in the past, during the civil war in Syria, there were very extremist groups, including ISIS, that entered into the buffer zone between Israel and Syria. So we had to take temporary defensive positions in the buffer zone to prevent the infiltration of such groups into our border area.
तो ये बफर जोन कितनी दूर होगा? How far will Israel create a buffer zone?
Well, the buffer zone is defined in the disengagement agreements from 1974. So we don't have any intention of expanding the buffer zone, but we are going to act very diligently to protect our border from these extremist groups. And if at some point Syria will stabilize and the government of Syria will commit to a peaceful border, then these precautionary measures might be, come to an end. But we have to be very cautious because we already saw what happened in the past.
All Hamas leadership have been eliminated by IDF, but still bombing continue in Gaza. How long it will go?
Well, we have systematically eradicated the military capabilities of Hamas. That means not only a big part of the leadership, but also the missile depots, the weapon factories, and a huge underground infrastructure that was destined to attack the state of Israel. We have destroyed 24 battalions of Hamas. What we have left in the Gaza Strip is a situation in which Hamas has taken hostage the humanitarian assistance. It is trying to survive by trying to extort the local population. So what we want to achieve is a situation in which we bring back the remaining 100 hostages that are still there. We already managed to bring back 150. So now we are negotiating with the help of the United States, of the Egyptians and others, in order to bring a ceasefire. As long as Hamas tries to attack Israel or rearm and regroup, we are going to attack back. So we need a ceasefire that is sustainable, that brings back our hostages, and that prevents Hamas from rearming and regrouping and doing the 7th of October again.
Means Sangharsh Viram ke baad there will be no bombing. After a ceasefire, there will be no bombing inside Gaza.
Well, if the terms of the ceasefire are being kept, look at what is happening in the north. In the north, we have signed a ceasefire agreement, but we have resolved to implement it. If the Lebanese government doesn't implement the agreement, we take action separately with the IDF in order to enforce it. And this is exactly what is going to happen in the Gaza Strip. If the terms of the ceasefire are breached, then Israel is going to take action.
अपने अब्राहम अकॉर्ड्स की बात की, will Israel start new efforts regarding Abraham Accords?
Absolutely. As I said before, once the radical forces that are threatening not only Israel, but also all the countries in West Asia have received such a blow from the state of Israel, you have a situation in which the Hamas army is decimated, that Hezbollah received a very severe blow, that the Assad regime no longer exists, that the weapon depots of the Assad regime are gone, that Iran has been exposed because we have taken out their air defenses and we have hit their missile program, and we even hit an element of the nuclear program. Now they understand very well what is the price for them to pay if they attack us again. In such an atmosphere, it will be much more secure for the countries in the region to engage in a project free from threats. And that's why I'm very optimistic that we will be able to implement the regional programs and to expand the peace accords.
So what do you expect from Saudi Arabia? What Israel expects?
Well, we want to have normal relations with all the countries in the region. I think that Saudi Arabia is a very important country in the region. They have their own interests. They will decide at what stage they want to get into official relations with us. We've been having with them informal relations for many years. We have dialogue with all countries in the region. The question is, at what point we are going to engage in a situation in which we can have wider cooperation. And this is completely up to them. Every country in the region acts upon their own interests. Israel doesn't interfere in the internal matters of other countries in the region.
My last question to you, sir. आपने अब्राहम अकॉर्ड्स के बारे में भी बात किया, सीरिया के बारे में भी बात की, गाजा और ईरान के बारे में भी बात किया. अंतिम सवाल आपसे है, भारत और प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी से आप लोग की क्या उम्मीद है? What do you expect from India and especially from Prime Minister Narendra Modi?
Well, Prime Minister Modi has been very supportive of Israel and our right for defend ourselves. And I think India can play a major role as a rising power in the world, as a player that wants to work with the Middle East in order to do trade, in order to do energy projects, in order to do technological projects. It has a huge role to play in our region, a positive role. So, as I said before, once you defeat the radicals, you can engage with all the countries that want to create stability and prosperity, and India has a leading role in that scheme.
Thank you so much for talking to News 18 India, sir.
Dhanyavad.
तो ये थे हमारे साथ रुवीन अजार। इन्होंने तमाम मसलों पे बातचीत किया, युद्ध की बात करें या फिर सीरिया की बात करें, गाजा की बात करें, अब्राहम अकॉर्ड्स की बात करें, और अंत में ये भी कहा कि भारत और प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी से इजराइल को काफ़ी उम्मीदें हैं। आप बने रहिए न्यूज़ 18 इंडिया के साथ, देश के नंबर 1 न्यूज़ चैनल के साथ।